Shaheen?
I've been thinking a lot. I mean, the six are beautiful, I think, and really, really important. But I've been thinking a lot about just the lens through which we see the world as being just everything in how we live our lives. And all of us can think, I'm sure, of countless examples of you're with somebody and you go through the exact same experience and then you walk out and you talk to them about it, and it's almost like you were having completely different experiences just because the way you've seen that situation is so different. And so I've been thinking a lot about how can I be very aware of the lens through which I see the world. And I was driven home a couple of nights ago. I got a call from a very close friend who's going through, he and his wife, just a horrific situation where both of their children independently were diagnosed with cancer. He lost his daughter at 8, and then his son, who recovered, got re-diagnosed with a third form of cancer and now is not responding to treatment. And whenever I used to go to their home, though, I would walk into this home where basically for the last 10 years, one kid or the other has been on chemo, and you'd feel such joy in this household. It was just uncanny. And you'd get the sense that here's a family who knows how to live every single moment. I mean, even 2 days ago, he called me from the hospital in New York, and he was with his son who was undergoing treatment. And he was saying, we're really busy right now creating memories. And we don't forget to exercise 4 or 5 times a week. And yes, we have all these drugs at home, but we've renamed it a drugstore to make it, I mean, it was just. And of course we break down, and we have our breakdowns, but we're trying to live hour by hour, every single minute. And it again just drove home this thing that like you can see any situation in any way. And I know when I become more aware of that in situations, I'm more able to just be a little more in control, I think, of myself and what I want to do.
Wow. Well, I think for many of us, we would die of that depression. It's amazing that you can have a family look at things so positively. So last question, and then we'll come over to the audience. Indra Nooyi famously said, women cannot have it all. Or can they? How do we handle this whole thing of work-life balance? Do we have it all, after all? And Nirupama, I'm going to come straight to you on all of that.
Well, I think life or living is not about having it all, and that just doesn't apply to women. I think it applies to men also. Life, you have to define what you think and what you regard as a complete life on your own terms. I think there will always be ups and downs. You spoke about failure, you spoke about disappointments, you spoke about, the down terrain, not just, climbing every mountain and sort of being jubilant about it. I think it's part and parcel of what you are and the situations that you go through. You really cannot have it all. But if you are able to, as we mentioned earlier, to focus on your dreams and your aspirations, and you feel there is a sense of mission and that you're there to fulfill it, and if at the end of it all you look back on your life and what you've achieved, and you're able to separate the disappointments from the successes, and you see at the end of it all that it was worth it, that the journey was worth it, that that you gave of it your best, I think you should be able to sign off with a sense of satisfaction.
So I like to describe this as the two crystal balls, the crystal balls of what is work and the crystal ball of family life. And they're crystal, so you have to be a juggler to make sure that neither crashes to the ground, because if it does, they're going to shatter. And it's all about keeping both in the air, and you somehow manage to do both because you want both and you want to keep both intact. What I add to that is the rubber ball, which is me time. The one that you allow to drop, that will bounce around, and something that you can pick up again maybe from time to time, and know that it has remained intact. So I know that, Shereen, you say have no life outside work. Your friends don't call you anymore because you don't go over. Your family's given up on you. So you have no rubber ball, no me
I'm
time.
beginning to sound increasingly tragic, is it? No, it's not. It's not all that bad. No, but I think it. This business of can you have it all, can you not have it all? I think is very closely linked to what Kiran said. I think if you align that or you marry that to what your purpose in life is, and then you prioritize accordingly, I think there will be days when you feel that you've been able to get as much as you possibly could, and there'll be days when you feel dissatisfied with the results, but I think it has to be very closely aligned to your core purpose in life. And I think women have got to stop trying to be super women. I mean, I think the pressure that we put on each other and on ourselves, we want to be the super mom, we want to be the best wives, we want to be, the best boss and so on and so forth. And you have to, you only have 24 hours in a day and you need to prioritize. And the other issue I think that women have is that we somehow feel by asking for help, we feel smaller. And I think we need to get rid of that mindset as well, that if you're asking for help doesn't necessarily mean that you're not good at what you do or that you're not capable. It's not a character flaw. It's just that nobody can do everything in the 24 hours that we have. And so asking for help is not such a bad thing at all. And I think we need to start doing a lot more of that. And I think maybe you can have it all, but perhaps not all at the same time. I think that's something that we need to rewire or rethink, and approach life that way. But finally, and this is something that in a conversation with Chanda, and the same question, because you ask people how do you manage work and life and so on and so forth, and that's what she said. She said minute by minute prioritization is how you finally figure things out for yourself, and you try and achieve me time, and you try and achieve your work-life balance. But I also feel that in India especially, and perhaps in the rest of the world as well, that people look, and even women look at you differently when you you're career oriented, like that's supposed to be it's supposed to be a flaw almost, so you're made to feel apologetic about that. And I think we need to stop with that mindset that if you're career oriented doesn't mean that you don't care about family, it doesn't mean that you don't care about friends, or you're not an emotionally giving person or all of that. I think the stereotype of career oriented women can only do that and can't do anything else needs to sort of be buried as well.
So there you are. I have my husband sitting in the audience, so I dare not say I did it all well, because he's going to remind me 100 times about what a bad wife I've been, bad mother I've been. But I think, what you say is so true, that what we need to do is everyone around us, we sort of depend on, we have to enlist their support. And that's really what it's about. Your husband, of course, your children become part of that journey, and they have to help you, all the help you have at home. Mother-in-laws, my gosh, I don't know what I'd have done without mine. My mother, I could never bully to come down to help when I needed help. My mother-in-law, she was down with me like a shot. And in fact, many of the women in the book talk about the great institution of the mother-in-law and what a support she was. So yes, it is about enlisting all the support you can get. In fact, Aruna Jayanti talks about her professors babysitting her kid at Stanford Business School. I don't think I ever got that far. So it is about all and everyone that you can get. So any other lessons on how you manage this work-life balance and have it all?
I think everyone has to figure out their own work-life balance, whether you're a man or a woman. And I really believe it's really about making choices and prioritizing. That's what you're trying to balance all the time. And I think, Shereen is right. I think the only thing we need to really sort of get out as women is this getting out of this mindset that, you could do it because you didn't have a family. I don't think that's true. I mean, I know many, many women who are very successfully, pursuing professional careers, running their homes and running their businesses or pursuing their careers. So I really think it's really about the choices you make and how you prioritize everything that you do. and you will find time for everything that you want. In fact, a lot of people ask me, how come you also find time to look at civic issues? How come you do this? How come you do that? It's really about prioritizing your time. What are you interested in? What do you want to do? I mean, I realize I don't have enough time on hand, but I want to make use of every minute that I have.
Yeah, I think just quickly adding, for me, it's about trying to ask myself and answer where I really need to be. Less where people think and tell me that I need to be, but more where I believe I really need to be. And then the other thing that has helped me personally a lot is just learning to be really gentle on myself. I think if you're gentle on yourself, especially on the days when you're feeling inadequate or you're making mistakes or you feel imbalanced, I think it has helped me to be gentle on the people around. And when you do that, you realize everybody's struggling and nobody's getting it right all the time, and you just wake up and say, can I be a little bit better tomorrow, and learn from what I didn't do that well.
Just a strong inner core. You just have to know, and you find your own solutions. So on that note, over to you for questions. So who are the brave ones who want to go first? Okay. Well, lots of hands up. In the second row.
Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Radhika Gandhi, and I'm here with my mum. She brought me. She's a member of FICCI. And I want to say thank you so much. I think for someone who's a student like me, it's very inspiring and very encouraging for what you've conveyed today to the whole audience. But I have a question to everyone on the panel, which is, apart from this book, what do you think is a really powerful tool for your message to be reached to a much younger group of women in our country? Because I believe we're essentially the future of this country, and this message is so powerful and so inspiring. And what do you think is a really important and powerful way for this message to reach a much younger group of people apart from the book? Thank you.
I actually want to ask you that question. As you tell us what would work.
I would say you will be the biggest message. I think if you can take this message of what you've heard here today to your friends and then osmotically kind of amplify it, I think that would be a great way of spreading the message.
I agree. Thank you. Okay, so for me to answer my own question, I think I would say the role of media and social media today is a very important and powerful tool, because we're all on our phones, we're all connected, and I think that is a very powerful tool which I think would really reach a large number of young women.
So Nirupama, we're relying on you now.
I mean, I'm just not going down the path less trodden on this. But, you know, the simple, we're a country of so many languages, such vast diversity. I think we should think of having this book translated into various regional languages, and maybe bring out an audiobook version of it also. So people could listen to it as they're, you know, going around.
Okay, thank you.
So it is going to be translated into other languages, but the social media one we struggle with, quite honestly. There's a lot of commitments made by the publisher that they would go down the track a bit. So we're going to see how we can do that. So if you have ideas, please let us know. Yeah.
Will do.
Other
Thank you.
questions?